Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine like this dusty ancient roadside hut. Just a simple grass mat inside. And then this chance encounter happens, and it just sparks this huge philosophical debate.
Right.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into an ancient text, the Māgaṇḍiyasuttaṃ. We want to explore how our perceptions, shape our reality of pleasure and pain.
Yeah, and what it really means to be, quote, healthy or liberated in that context.
Exactly. Our mission, sort of, is to pull out insights from this really surprising confrontation.
It starts with an insult, doesn't it? Which is kind of amazing.
It really does. How a crude insult can lead to this incredible journey towards inner peace, towards wisdom.
Right.
So get ready for some, hopefully, aha moments that might challenge how you view your own sources of happiness.
It's a truly fascinating narrative. And it unfolds in such a humble setting, which I think shows how profound wisdom can pop up in the most unexpected places.
I totally agree. So we start in ancient Kudu, this specific village, Kamasadhamma. And the text paints this picture of the Lord, that's the Buddha. He's just staying in this Brahmin's fire hut, a guy named Paradvaja.
On a simple grass mat. He's just finished his alms round. You really get that sense of simplicity.
You do. And into this quiet scene walks Māgaṇḍiya. He's described as a wanderer.
Right, a wanderer.
Yeah.
And he sees this grass mat, and naturally he asks Bharadvaja, what's this mat for?
And Paradvaja explains it's for Samanto Gautama, and then he just launches into this list of titles describing his reputation.
Yeah, it's quite a list. He is the Lord, the arahant.
Which means a fully enlightened being.
Right? Exactly. The fully self-awakened one, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, the fortunate one, the knower of the world, the unexcelled trainer of persons to be tamed, the teacher of gods and humans, the Buddha, the Lord. Phew, it paints this picture of just immense reverence.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Māgaṇḍiya hears all this. And his reaction, pure disdain, he calls Gautama Bunahu.
Which is, well, that's a pretty crude and insulting term.
Definitely. And his justification is just, oh, well, that's what we've heard in our teachings.
Yeah, like it's common knowledge in his circle.
Right. And Bharadvaja is understandably pretty dismayed. He basically tells Māgaṇḍiya, hey, watch your mouth, pointing out how many wise people actually revere Gautama.
And what's really fascinating, kind of a key detail here, is that the Buddha isn't even there at that moment. He's in a nearby forest grove.
Okay.
But he hears their whole conversation with what the text calls divine hearing.
So like a supernormal ability.
Exactly. Transcending normal human limits. He knows exactly what was said, even before Bharadvaja can tell him. And that sets up what happens next.
Okay, so later that evening, the Buddha comes back to the hut, and he just sits down on that very same grass mat, the one Māgaṇḍiya insulted.
Right. And Bharadvaja is apparently quite startled, because he senses the Buddha somehow already knows about their earlier chat.
And then, like, it's perfectly timed.
As if on cue, yeah.
Māgaṇḍiya himself shows up at the hut and joins them. So now we have the stage set for this direct confrontation.
Indeed. And the Buddha doesn't beat around the bush. He goes straight to Māgaṇḍiya and asks him directly, that insult, Bunahu, was that because you think I've sort of destroyed or cut off enjoyment through my senses?
And he lists them, right? The eye and forms, ear and sounds.
Exactly. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and even the mind with its thoughts or phenomena. He clarifies, look, I have trained and restrained these senses. That's what I teach the Dhamma for their restraint.
And Māgaṇḍiya just confirms it. Yep, that's exactly why I said it. He even repeats his justification. That's what we've heard in our teachings.
So you see this immediate clash of worldviews. For Māgaṇḍiya, taming the senses sounds like destroying life's pleasure.
Whereas for the Buddha, it's about mastery, freedom. It's a completely different perspective on well-being, isn't it?
Absolutely fundamental difference. And it leads perfectly into the Buddha starting to unpack Māgaṇḍiya's assumptions. He begins by talking about his own past.
Oh, right. His life before enlightenment.
Exactly. His life as a householder. He describes living in, well, extreme luxury. He had 3 palaces, one for each season.
Wow. 3 palaces.
And in the rainy season palace, he says he was entertained for 4 whole months, never even came downstairs, surrounded by music, specifically music without men. Just total indulgence.
That sounds, Almost unbelievable. What's the point of describing such extreme luxury here?
It establishes that he knows sensual pleasure. He's experienced the absolute peak of worldly gratification. He had everything.
Okay.
But he says through that experience, he came to understand the real nature of these pleasures. He saw their arising, their passing away, their gratification, their danger, and the escape from them. He saw the whole cycle.
He saw the downside, the limitations.
Precisely. And through that wisdom, he let go of craving. He extinguished the fever of desire, as the text says. He became free from that thirst and found genuine inner peace. So now he looks at others who are still caught up, still devoured by craving, tormented by the fever, but he doesn't feel any envy.
Because his happiness is different now.
Totally different. He says his joy is, apart from sensual pleasures and unwholesome states, it's a higher kind of happiness, so much so that those lower sensory pleasures just don't appeal to him anymore.
Okay, so to make this clear for Māgaṇḍiya, he uses an analogy, right, about human versus divine pleasures.
Yeah, that's a good one. He says, okay, imagine a rich person enjoying all the human sensual pleasures. Then, through good deeds, they get reborn as a god in the Tavatisa heaven.
A higher realm with even better pleasures.
Exactly. Divine sensual pleasures, surrounded by celestial nymphs in this beautiful Nandana grove. Then the Buddha asks Māgaṇḍiya, would that God, enjoying divine pleasures, look back and envy the human pleasures he left behind?
And Māgaṇḍiya has to say.
He says, no way, because obviously divine sensual pleasures are far superior and more refined than human sensual pleasures.
Right. Seems logical.
And that's the setup for the Buddha's point. If divine pleasures are so much better than human ones that the divine being feels no envy, then imagine a state of peace, the Buddhist state, that is so far beyond even divine pleasures. That's why he feels no envy for any lesser gratification, human or divine. It's not just better pleasure, it's transcending that whole game.
That makes sense. It reframes the whole idea. And then he uses another analogy, the one about the leper. This one's really vivid.
It really is. He says, picture a leper, festering wounds, tormented by worms. He's constantly scratching himself, trying to get some relief by warming his body over a pit of burning charcoal.
Ugh, sounds awful. Temporary relief, but painful.
Exactly. Now, imagine a skilled doctor comes along and completely heals this leper. Healthy, free from the disease.
Okay.
The Buddha asked Māgaṇḍiya, would this now cured man envy another leper who's still over there, scratching and warming himself by the painful fire?
The answer seems obvious again.
Right. Māgaṇḍiya says, no. Because when there's a disease, you need medicine. When there's no disease, you don't need medicine anymore.
And the implication there is, well, it's pretty clear for us listening too, right?
Absolutely. Just like the cured leper doesn't need the medicine, that awful temporary relief from the fire. The Buddha, having cured himself of the disease of craving, no longer needs or wants the supposed remedy of sensual pleasures.
Let's dig into that leper analogy a bit more, because there's a really crucial point about perception in there.
Yes, definitely. The Buddha pushes it further. He says, imagine that cured leper, totally healthy now. What if two strong men grabbed him and tried to forcibly drag him back towards that charcoal pit?
He'd fight back, surely.
He'd recoil, resist like crazy. Why? Because now he perceives the fire for what it actually is. Painful to touch, very hot, and causes great fever.
Ah, so his perception changed once he was healthy.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. The fire was always that painful. It didn't change. It was the leper's senses, when he was afflicted by the disease, that were distorted. This led him to have a perverted perception of happiness in something inherently painful to the fire.
Wow. That's a powerful idea. It challenges us to think, what things we perceive as pleasant might actually be harmful if our senses are afflicted by craving.
Precisely. It suggests that experiences we chase for pleasure might actually be fundamentally sources of pain or agitation, but our craving distorts how we see them.
And the Buddha draws this direct parallel. Sensual pleasures, he says, in the past, present, future, they always have been, are, and will be like that fire. Painful to touch, very hot, and cause great fever.
But people whose minds are afflicted by craving have this perverted perception. They see happiness in these things that are actually causing them suffering.
So it's not just about the external thing, like the fancy palace or the music. It's about our internal state, our perception being skewed by desire.
Exactly right. It's the craving that distorts reality. And he uses the leper again. Think about him constantly scratching those wounds, warming them by the fire. Does it make the wounds better?
No, it makes them worse, surely. Infected, foul.
Right. The text says they become more unclean, foul-smelling, and putrid, even though he gets that tiny measure of gratification from the scratching.
So that scratching is like indulging in sensual pleasures when you're still craving them.
Perfect analogy. Indulging doesn't cure the craving, it actually feeds it. It increases the craving, increases the fever of sensual desire, even while giving that fleeting moment of seeming satisfaction.
It sounds like a really vicious cycle. You chase pleasure, which increases the craving, which leads to more suffering.
An endless, ultimately unsatisfying loop, which leads the Buddha to ask Māgaṇḍiya, point blank, have you ever seen or heard of any ruler, any king, anyone enjoying sensual pleasures to the max, who actually achieved inner peace, freedom from thirst, while still indulging like that?
And Māgaṇḍiya has to admit.
He says no, he hasn't.
And the Buddha confirms. Exactly. Everyone who has achieved that deep peace, that liberation, did so by understanding the true nature of sensual pleasures, the danger, the suffering involved, and abandoning them, abandoning the craving.
It's not about self-punishment. It's about seeing clearly and stepping out of a harmful cycle because you've found something better, something truly peaceful.
Okay. And right in the middle of this really intense discussion, the Buddha suddenly utters this verse, right? An udana.
Yes, an exclamatory utterance. It's quite famous. Health is the highest gain. Nibbana is the highest bliss.
Nibbana meaning the ultimate liberation, the end of suffering.
Correct. And of paths, the Eightfold Path is the safe one leading to the deathless. The deathless being another term for Nibbana.
The Eightfold Path, that's the practical guide. Ethics, mental discipline, wisdom.
That's the one, the framework for achieving that liberation.
But this is where Māgaṇḍiya really shows he hasn't grasped it yet, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. He hears this profound verse, and he seems to agree, but then he touches his own body and says, yes, this, Master Gautama, is health. This is Nibbana. I am healthy right now, happy, nothing's wrong with me.
He thinks health just means physical health, and Nibbana is just feeling okay physically.
He completely mistakes the ultimate spiritual goal for mere bodily well-being. It's a huge misunderstanding.
And the Buddha uses another analogy to show him just how mistaken he is. The blind man analogy.
Yes, another brilliant one. Imagine a man born blind. Never seen colors, never see light, nothing.
Okay.
Then he hears someone talking about this wonderful thing. A beautiful, pure, clean white cloth. And he thinks, wow, I want one of those.
So he goes looking for it even though he can't see.
Right. And someone plays a cruel trick on him. They give him this dirty, oil-stained, greasy rag and tell him, here you go, this is that beautiful white cloth you heard about.
Oh, no.
And the blind man, not knowing any better, accepts it. He wraps himself in it, feels it, and rejoices, repeating all the praises he heard. Oh, what a beautiful, pure, clean white cloth this is.
Believing the lie completely.
Utterly. So the Buddha asks Māgaṇḍiya, did that blind man know what he was doing, or did he just take it on faith from the person who could see, even though that person deceived him?
Māgaṇḍiya confirms, yeah, the blind man didn't know. He acted purely on faith in the deceiver.
And then comes the connection. The Buddha says other spiritual seekers, wanderers like Māgaṇḍiya, are just like that blind man.
How so?
They are blind without the eye, meaning the eye of wisdom. They can't truly know what real health is, can't see Nibbana for themselves. Yet they might repeat that profound verse, health is the highest gain, Nibbana is the highest bliss. But they're just repeating words spoken by truly enlightened ones, the arahants of the past, without grasping the real meaning.
Like the blind man repeating praises for a dirty rag he thinks is white.
Exactly. And then the Buddha brings it right back to Māgaṇḍiya personally. He points out, essentially, Māgaṇḍiya, this very body you're touching, calling it health, calling it Nibbana. This body is actually a disease, a boil, a dart, an affliction, a suffering.
Whoa, that's direct.
Incredibly direct. How can you claim this physical thing, which is subject to sickness, aging, death, is the ultimate health, the ultimate bliss? He tells Māgaṇḍiya he lacks the noble eye, the Arya Kaki, the spiritual insight needed to truly know health and see Nibbana.
He's basically saying you're clinging to the soiled rag of physical existence and mistaking it for the pure white cloth of liberation.
You've got it. That's the essence of the critique.
And how does Māgaṇḍiya take this? It must have been quite a shock.
It seems to hit home. The text says he's profoundly affected. He expresses deep faith now, and he genuinely pleads with the Buddha, please teach me so that I can know health so I can see Nibbana. It feels like a real turning point.
He's finally ready to listen, truly listen.
Yes. And the Buddha uses the blind man analogy one last time, but flips it. This time it's about an effective doctor.
Okay.
He says, look, if a doctor tries to treat a blind man but fails to restore his sight, well, that's just tiring for the doctor, pointless effort. But if the doctor gives the right medicine, the text mentions things like emetics, purgatives, eye ointments, nasal treatments, a whole course of therapy, and the man gains his sight.
Ah, the medicine works.
Yes. And the moment he can see, what happens to his attachment to that dirty, soiled rag he thought was so wonderful?
It would vanish instantly. He'd see it for what it is.
Exactly. It vanishes. In fact, the Buddha says he'd probably see the person who gave him that rag as an enemy, realizing how badly he'd been deceived, cheated, deluded for so long.
Ooh, that's the real aha moment, isn't it? For Māgaṇḍiya and maybe for us listening too.
It absolutely is, because the Buddha then applies it directly. If I teach you the Dhamma, Māgaṇḍiya, you will gain that sight. You will know health and see Nibbana.
And when he gains this eye of wisdom,
His desire, his clinging, specifically to the 5 aggregates of clinging, will just cease. It will fall away.
the 5 aggregates, that's basically everything we identify as self. Our body, feelings, perceptions, mental habits, consciousness.
That's right. The fundamental building blocks of our perceived existence, the things we cling to. When the wisdom eye opens, the clinging stops.
And the realization that follows must be huge.
Profound. The Buddha describes what Māgaṇḍiya would realize. Wow, for such a long time I've been deceived, cheated, deluded by this mind of mine. Clinging to form, I clung. Clinging to feeling, perception, formations, consciousness, I clung.
Seeing the mechanism of his own suffering.
Exactly, and because of that clinging, existence arises. Because of existence, birth. Because of birth, old age and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair arise. He sees the whole chain reaction. Thus, he concludes, there is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. That's understanding dependent on origination, how suffering comes to be.
So Māgaṇḍiya is completely convinced now. He asks, how do I do it? How can I get up from this seat no longer blind? He wants the practical steps.
And the Buddha gives them, very clearly, 3 key things.
Okay, what are they?
1. Associate with good people. Kalyamitata, good spiritual friends.
Right, good influences.
2. Hear the true Dhamma. Listen to the genuine teachings.
Makes sense. Understand the path.
And 3. Practice according to the Dhamma. Live it. Don't just hear it. Do it.
Associate, hear, practice.
Yes.
Simple but profound.
Very much so. And the Buddha says by doing these things, Māgaṇḍiya will directly know and see for himself the end of those diseases, boils, and darts. The end of clinging.
And the end of clinging means?
The end of the whole cycle. From the cessation of clinging, there is the cessation of existence, cessation of birth. Thus, there is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering, liberation.
Wow. And Māgaṇḍiya's reaction to this clear path.
He is completely overwhelmed by the clarity. He uses these beautiful metaphors as like the Buddha has righted what was overturned, revealed what was hidden, shown the way to someone lost, held up a lamp in the darkness so those with eyes can see.
He fully gets it now.
He fully gets it. And he immediately declares his refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the teaching, and the Sangha, the community, the triple gem.
And asks to become a monk. Right. To be ordained.
Yes. He asks for ordination. The Buddha explains the standard procedure for people coming from other sects. There's usually a 4-month probation period, just to check their sincerity and resolve.
Well, Māgaṇḍiya.
Māgaṇḍiya's commitment is just extraordinary. He says, Lord, if it's 4 months for others, I will happily undertake a 4-year probation.
4 years. That's incredible dedication.
Shows how deeply the teaching affected him. And the story concludes very swiftly after that. He is ordained.
Without the 4 years.
It implies he was accepted, perhaps due to his evident transformation and commitment. And very soon after ordination, while living secluded, diligent, really putting in the effort,
He achieves the goal.
he fully realizes it. The text says he understood. Birth is destroyed. The holy life has been lived. What was to be done has been done. There's no more for this state of being. He became an arahant, fully liberated.
What an incredible turnaround. From hurling insults based on misunderstanding to reaching the highest spiritual goal.
A complete 180-degree transformation, all stemming from that initial, rather awkward roadside encounter. It really highlights the power of clear seeing and letting go of distorted perceptions.
So reflecting on this whole story, what's the big takeaway for us? We went from an insult to enlightenment.
Yeah. I think it really hammers home how understanding the true nature of sensual pleasures, seeing their temporary nature, their potential dangers, the suffering involved in clinging to them, is key to finding a deeper, more stable form of happiness.
And that true health, true nibbana, isn't just about the body feeling okay.
Not at all. It's a radical shift in how we perceive everything. It's liberation from the suffering caused by our own minds, by our clinging.
Which leads to that final, maybe slightly uncomfortable question the story leaves us with.
Right, if our minds can trick us, like the leper thinking the painful fire was relief.
Or the blind man cherishing a dirty rag.
Then what soiled cloth might any of us be clinging to right now, mistaking it for that pure white garment of genuine happiness?
That's definitely something to think about. A challenging thought to end on.